So good morning, everybody, and I hope there is an audience. Let me just see if I have anybody in the room. I do. I have a few people, I believe. So welcome to my seminar on getting something started. I think at this point in this terrible year that we're having, there are people who are trying to get something started. And there are people who are trying to change what they're doing. And I think the things I'm going to say, I hope that they're relevant to those people too, because there are lots of opportunities here associated with trying to rescue your business or find something new, which you can turn to if your business is suffering really terribly from the shutdown and all that goes with it. So I wanted to talk about startup, but it might be also about rebooting, rethinking, and energizing your business. So I think that the first thing to say about getting something started and about any business really, but really important with getting something started, is that businesses and entrepreneurs create value by solving problems. And those problems, are like a messy ball of string. The world is a messy ball of string. There's all sorts of things going on. They're tangled up together, and it's hard to know exactly how you're going to unravel them and turn them into something of value. And however, that's what entrepreneurs do, is they unravel that string and they create something new for people. So this is about solving problems and coming up with something that addresses something real for people. And sometimes people start with the problem, so overcrowded roads or the problem of PPE in hospitals at the moment. And other times they come up with an idea for something, and then they look around and see if there is a problem that it actually solves. Either way, I think it will work, but you do have to be clear about what the problem is and what the solution is. And there's some research to be done there. And I'll say a bit more about that in a moment, but there's definitely research to be done into what the problem really is and what your solution might be. The problem and the solution only are important because they solve problems for people. So people experience problems and and the problems or challenges that people face are the ones that we're trying to solve. And people can be described in many, many ways. Individuals, families, clans, social groups, demographic groups. There are lots of different ways of conceptualizing whose problem we're trying to solve. And there are lots of different people we can try to talk to. We may be trying to sell to businesses. Businesses are people too. And those businesses might be social enterprises, or they might be commercial enterprises, or they might be public enterprises. We have to figure out, though, how we're solving their problem. And understanding what they're like and what they really need is the big challenge. And we're and we can try and do that, address that challenge in lots of different ways. We can research customers quite efficiently now by observation. What have I seen? What have I heard? What seems to be going on? We can use the net. There's incredible tools for analyzing traffic on the net, which are available free within the very search engines. And we can also do research on the net to see how certain problems and challenges are actually being addressed now, and think, well, what works there? What doesn't work there? Does it actually get to the people who I'm interested in? And what about this other group over here? Are they using these solutions? And if not, why not? What's the challenge there? And of course, market researchers often talk about direct questioning, surveys, focus groups, interviews. But people often don't know what they want. They don't know what the possibilities are. And so the answers you get that way may not be the best answers. And there are lots of examples of that. Famously, Dyson got some of the vacuum cleaner manufacturers, when Dyson was starting out, got very odd answers from their research base. And Dyson said, well, that's nonsense. I'm going to go ahead and do what I want to do anyway. So the more direct things of observation, research on the net, finding out what people want is really, really important. But the next big thing, which is important, is to realize that ideas develop gradually into innovations, and that gradual development is a process of experimentation. And this is probably the best research you can do into your idea. So you spend some time on the net figuring out what you want, what the problem is, what the solution is, and who the people are. And then you start experimenting with things and you can experiment with price, you can experiment with features, you can experiment with colors, you can experiment with all sorts of things in order to try to understand what the customer really does want. You can understand that online by testing out software or testing out ads and seeing which ads people actually go for. Do they go for the red ads or do they go for the green ads? Do they go for the big features or the small features? And that's how you gradually establish what people really want and what the value is in your business idea or your social enterprise idea. This is a process of iteration, and it's terribly important to iterate repeatedly and go around this circle of testing, gathering data, gathering data, and then rejigging, rethinking, and improving what you're doing. The next big issue, I think, is how are you going to make money? And this is an interesting one for all of us. Money definitely makes the world go round, and I don't want to minimize that at all. But at the beginning, how much money you really need is rather moot. And there are many businesses, service businesses particularly, that get started on very small money indeed. And most of our graduates and students who are trying to start something start it really just with the fluff in their pockets, their idea, and not much else. And then they leverage the networks that we can help them to get access to. The Chamber, for instance, is a network. There is the Kingston Events Network in Kingston, who are incredibly helpful with people trying to get new products and services into the market. There are networks like co-working spaces, which people go into, and there are networks in the university, for instance, as well, which people can join. These networks offer experience, they offer mentoring, they offer access to facilities and resources, and those are all really important things. How are you going to make money? The business model is probably the most important thing that you can think about. And when we talk about business model, we're really talking about the shape of the business and the structure of the business and how we're putting the parts of the business together in order to make it viable. Innovation in a business model might be something to do with how you're delivering the service. So software as a service is something that's become huge over the last 15 years, let's say. And lots of software apps that we use, they're free at first, and then you pay for the service that you want. Most of us use Zoom for free at the moment, but there are limitations to that, and then we can buy additional aspects of the service and additional packages. This concept has been around for a long time, but applied to new apps and new software, it suddenly becomes a very, very valuable model for developing your business ideas. And if you can find some new way of doing that, then your a new way of delivering service, then that's going to be important. The service may not be that new, but the delivery may be new. Subscription models are really popular at the moment, and you can buy everything from snacks, as in from snack boxes, which are delivered to your door, or veggie boxes delivered to your front step, through to socks and all sorts of other things by subscription now, just by going on the web. It's incredibly simple and very, very powerful, because it means you have some idea about the income that you're going to be getting. Another big business model that's extremely valuable are all the multi-sided platforms that have come on since eBay, really, where people and products and buyers and sellers are brought together on a platform, and the platform itself takes a cut from in various places and gets funded through advertising support, and people are able to trade, exchange, and work together on the platform. And these platforms are in business-to-business environments as much as they are in the retail environments, Facebook, eBay, Amazon, that we're quite familiar with. But there are many, many, many business-facing ones as well. And of course, another big innovation in how people structure their businesses has been the gig-based economy. And although there are challenges with that and making sure people are able to earn a proper living within the regulations surrounding employment, the gig-based workforce has nevertheless been extremely powerful, and the gig-based business opportunities. How you're going to structure your business is really important. And I realize that I've already spoken to this slide, even though it's just come up, which is that, and just to repeat, when you get started with something, you're starting with something small, and you really don't need much money. You don't start with something big. Every startup is small. And so you can find money in lots of different places and learn to swap and share resources, barter for resources, find free accommodation in somebody's back room or in a spare room in an office or in the university or something like that, and use the powerful networks that you're surrounded with to start figuring out how to develop your startup and figuring out how to find the resources to get it done. There's quite a lot of public money, and this morning there was an announcement about more money for fledgling businesses, and I think for businesses trying to turn around in this new environment from the council. And there's a lot of money out there at the moment. It may not be easy to get your hands on, but actually it's worth having a look at. Whatever you do, don't try to start with a business plan, though. Okay, people who want to give you, who maybe have grants and things, they tend to want business plans, which is maybe the downside of it. But don't think you need to start with a business plan. You need to start with your networks, your ideas, your concepts about creating value, and building your understanding of your customer. So just a few things to take away from this talk, and I hope that you'll have some questions to ask. Ask away on the chat line. The first thing is find a problem and solve it. That's really the heart either of developing a new product or service for your business or getting something new started. You really have to understand that. And if you cannot clearly lay out a problem with good statistics and good evidence behind it, behind the fact that it exists, then you're not going to go anywhere. No, everybody wants to hear that. There are always good lessons to be learned from the Dragon's Den program on TV. Often they'll say something like, well, you know, it's a really interesting idea you've come up with, but I really don't think the problem is there. I don't think the problem is serious enough or big enough to make this into a viable business in the long term. And conversely, they often say, I can get the problem, but I really don't think this solution has legs. So think about that. You need the problem, you need the solution, and that's what investors, purchasers, customers are always looking for. The problem always belongs to someone, okay? People experience problems and challenges, and that's what you need to find out. Look particularly at groups who are maybe being ignored or underrepresented or maybe have less money. Can you deliver something to them which other people are not doing at the moment because you found a new way to do it? And that new way enables it to be delivered more cheaply. cheaply for them. Your innovation might be, and whatever it is, it has to create value for them. And value means different things to different people. If I am in a desert, water is extremely valuable. If I'm here in England, where the rain is coming down pretty frequently, it becomes less valuable, and I will pay less for a bottle of water or a glass of water. I'll expect it to be free. So value differs depending on the context, and it differs depending on the people whose problems you're trying to solve. So think about value. What is the value you're creating, and how do you really do it? And there are probably lots of things you do for people that your startup might do. It's just a matter of focusing on the ones that people are going to want to pay for. Innovation isn't necessarily about product or about service. It may be about the delivery mechanism, or it may be about how you're structuring your resources. Think about all those gig-based organizations, Uber, for instance. There are lots of challenges, as I've said, but they've figured out a way of bringing people in to an employment opportunity which is quite novel and which has enabled them to be extremely successful in the marketplace. So is there some new kind of business, new way of structuring your resources that you could do? Or is there a new way of delivering a service? Or is there some new way of charging, for instance, a subscription rather than a per purchase transaction? Research is very, very important. It always starts now online, using analytics, looking at what's out there already, trying to understand customers and their needs, looking at fora, and understanding what's out there. And then quite quickly, it needs to move into real testing of your idea with real people. And again, you can do that online. There are lots of real people just like us who are online all day. And what do they want? What do they react to? Which buttons do they push on your tester website? These are all ways of trying to establish a research in your idea, and then you get the basis, the data basis on which to change, upgrade, amend, rethink your idea. And the final thing is, treat your startup like a project. Set yourself some milestones, some goals, and expect those to change and develop along the way. Because as you change them, as you develop them, you'll be able to find new value and new ways of serving people. It may take longer than you think. Lots of startup projects get extended. But think about that and sometimes they get extended because the market just isn't ready, or the technology isn't quite ready, and all of that's fair enough. Sometimes, though, people just won't let go of some pet idea that they have. So think of it as a project, set yourself some milestones, and be prepared to stop as well as going forward. So those are my key takeaways from my little talk this morning. I hope it's been of interest to you. There's nothing yet. There are no questions yet in the chat. I seem to have 5 people watching, which is fantastic. Hi, Visma, Wanda, Sukantini, Suzanne, and Maria Elena. Nice to see you all. I can't see you, actually. You can see me, but I can't see you. And I hope you're all well. Do fire away with any questions or comments. I'm going to stop sharing my screen now, by the way, so that I become slightly larger in the window. Good. Oh, hi, Illy. Sorry, your name wasn't there because you hadn't done any chat. Oh, there are quite a few people here. Sorry, it's just that you're being very quiet in the chat. Anybody have any questions? Oh, hi, Dominic. I'm going to put a question in. I see. I started on time. No burning questions. Okay, Suzanne, I'm glad. Richard, which funding sources would you go to first? Interesting question. So the first thing is, which would I go to first? I would go to competitions, actually. And I would start going to lots of networking events in and around London. If you look at a website called Capital Enterprise, you'll find Capital Enterprise is an enterprise agency. It's privately owned. It might be a charitable thing. And they have access to lots of government money. And you'll find in there some ideas about what you might be able to apply for, depending on what your startup or your new product is like. So Capital Enterprise is a good place to start. You could also go to our Kingston University stand. I'm sorry to today, our booth today, because, for instance, an example of kind of soft funding, we have on offer at the moment internships. And they are funded internships. So we have students and graduates who are looking for jobs this summer. And of course, it's very difficult. And we have some government money to pay students and graduates to work for you. So if you have a business and you're trying to get something new going, it's a nice bit of soft funding to get something going. They might be able to help you with website or with your web analytics or any number of things. Again, another interesting source of resource of all sorts is the British Library. The British Library has a business advice center, and the foundation of that is intellectual property. So they are a repository of intellectual property and do a lot of seminars and things on that. But they also publicize some of the grant programs that are available. So there's a lot of money available. And I would go to all of those first. But actually, rather than looking for hard cash in the first instance, I would go to your networks, including the chamber. I plug the chamber, but go to your networks and see what you can find. Another really nice network is Kingston Invents, which is an inventors group, which meets once a month at Kingston University. Of course, they're meeting virtually at the moment. And they have, there's a huge amount of knowledge there and experience in building new products, developing new products. It's not just about invention. They have a lot of knowledge in the room. And some of them can help point you to sources of funding, which are not bank-based. So I hope that answers your question, Richard. No burning questions. That was interesting. Thank you. Maria Elena says they're working on a couple of new ideas. One is a new way to do what we already do. So, okay. I'd be happy to talk to you separately as well, Maria Elena, if there's anything that, if you want to bounce anything off me. But of course, go to the speed networking events today because it's a chance to talk to people. Richard, you're most welcome. I hope that was helpful. Anything else? No, there's a resounding silence. I don't know if silences can resound, but it's so silent here that it seems to be. So as I said, there are lots of things that you can do to find a little bit of money to help you along. At the outset, things shouldn't cost money, too much money. If you're looking at developing a new product and you need to prototype and things, there are places you can go for that, and there is public money available to support you in that. Okay, there's nothing else happening on the chat at the moment. So thank you very much for coming along. It's really nice to see you all, and I hope I was able to give you some ideas or insight. Okay, Amanda, thanks. That's nice of you to say so. I'm going to stop the broadcast now. I hope that's okay with everybody. Can you give me a thumbs up or something if that's okay? Not visually. I can't see you. I mean on the chat. Digital marketing, everyone is doing it. It seems to be an overcrowded marketing channel. What's your view? I'm starting to think that videos are a good idea. Okay. Oh, thanks, Mike. So Richard's asking about digital marketing. I mean, everything is digital. Oh, thanks. Oh, thanks for the thumbs up and the things. That's great. Richard, digital marketing seems to be where we're at, absolutely. And because we're all online all the time, it must be the best way at the moment to reach people. But it evolves quite quickly, and I think keeping on top of that is really challenging. I'm not an expert in digital marketing by a long shot, but to me it seems what we used to refer to as digital marketing is just a small subset of what you can do now on the web or through apps or through the different platforms that are available. And I think they evolve and change all the time. So I'm no expert on it by a long shot, but I can't see, particularly if you're trying to get something started, testing things in digital markets is likely to be a very good way forward. And yes, on your answer about videos, that is my understanding, that very short videos are good, can be very powerful if you get the message right. And that takes some training, I think, sometimes to actually get your pitch right. Okay, Amanda, that's good. I'm glad it was helpful. Okay, I'm going to stop now. Thank you all for standing by and listening in. It's very nice to see you. I think my email address is on the stand, and you know how to get to me anyways. You can find me through the chamber or through the university. Oh yeah, Mike does video production and knows a lot about that market. Bye now. And on our stand, by the way, just one more thing about our stand, the Kingston University stand, is I'm collecting case studies of businesses in Kingston and what happened to them during the shutdown. So if you can go to the stand, it only should take you a few minutes. There's a link and you can type in your own case study about your business and what you did. And it doesn't matter if you feel you did something extraordinary or if you just feel like you hung in there or you just kept on, or what it doesn't matter. We'd like to create a kind of a record, a database record, which would maybe get published of the stories of businesses around Kingston during the lockdown. So please do go along. It's just a short thing, and it allows you freehand to fill in the form. Thank you. Bye now.